see them fall into this type of a pit, really. But their bot lane, I have to say, in recent games, has been seeing a lot of these 2v2 kills come out against them.
And going into Kramer and PYL makes it so difficult, Large, you cheeky devil. This guy's looking pretty good on your screen as well. 2-1 and 2, down in CS in the lane, but still Proto Belt. You're heading towards what was originally going to be that Zonya's Hourglass. Seeker's Armor Guard will be coming shortly, and the rest of LGD can get around this team fight that is going to be built up in the mid game with now a longer mid lane.
And just taking a look at Ash's build, I almost always forget that we're a patch behind.
That's
so
true. That's true.
Not the volley changes yet. It's still going to be the standard Blade of the Ruined King build. Much stronger when you come into those early contact dragon fights.
In fact, we're 2 patches behind now, Clement. You know, we're just keeping it old school here at the LPL. So in 9.11, of course, Blade of the Ruined King, and expect to see the Renan's Hurricane come out second here for Kramer. Doing pretty well in his lane as well, going up against an Essence Reaver and Eyeboy. Now, I want to point out that the Yasuo mid is not towards the Infinity Edge just yet. It's just the static shift for now. So, level 11 Yuki is scary, but not as scary as we're going to expect the big brain Yasuo.
And I actually like this option for the Yasuo. The key part about this is because he still has to hold down on the mid lane.
Yep.
If you're holding down the mid lane against a bot lane duo, then you need that wave clear to keep yourself alive. A lot of times we've actually been seeing the go-to attack speed item not be the static shield.
The Phantom Dancer, right?
Phantom Dancer is actually far more common, but I like this adaptation from Yuki. He realizes that his positioning out in the mid game is still mainly to match up against the likes of Eyeboy and they need is their players all in the same spot so they can chain their abilities to get those kills. But right now they're being spread across all of these lanes at the same time. EDG are going to have to give up some of these lanes and group up to find pressure.
A 6k gold behind, and further the point of compositions. We're also talking about how we get to that late game, and there is that, as you mentioned, Nuke. Yeah, it's a one-hit wonder. But you need time for EDG, and with Baron now spawning up, with LGD being very proactive here with their vision, it's going to be hard for EDG to get to that point. So right now, look at those 2 items on LGD, and look at that 100% each. Perfect.
Whenever they get Baron, they win the game. That's
okay.
basically what it says. Whenever they get first Baron, they've always been able to close out.
I've seen some 0% there as well, by the way.
Yeah, if you've never taken Baron, then
you don't,
get 0%. However, it is a reversal of their Baron control rate. We saw EDG with a 20% plus on that, going all the way up to 61% on the Baron control rate.
Yeah.
This game, it's going to be far more difficult for them, and with the lead LGD have Blade of the Ruined King on the bot side as well, I think they're fairly comfortable to just start.
A Phantom Dancer just picked up there for Kramer as well, making him harder to kill. I'm curious as to what that BF Sword turns into, whether we see maybe like an Essence Reaver third, whether it becomes an IE straight out. Because you're going into not even IE picked up there for Eyeboy.
Yeah, I like the idea for PD, just anti-dive when it comes to Jinnu. And this is a point where we should really be paying attention to how LGD is actually closing off and constricting the map. I love what PYL is doing right here. You can see once they have priority, moving together with their top lane to in unison and just warding off the map on the red side. I really like studying how teams ward because you can see different priorities in different scenarios here. Yeah. They're so confident in their position on the map that they're willing to use control wards just around the Raptor Brush. That's not typically a place where you drop control wards, not particularly cost efficient.
Sure.
It's cleared out very fast, but you can tell how confident the team is by just their warding positions.
Especially looking at their priorities. EDG, a team that a lot of the time we don't see a lot of dragons in their game. Low security rate, but and this game's a good example as well. 2 dragons, 22 minutes as the bottom lane turret goes down. Look mid, Kramer's found himself a juicy target in JJ. Good stun from Live. Even ults in. He feels it. He even picks up a kill. That's 3-1 and 2. That's a 2-item cannon. And the pick finally comes through for LGD.
Yeah, he even chanced forward for getting a lucky stun onto some part of the bot lane right there. Cutesy idea. Unfortunately, he didn't get a lucky roll with that.
But it's about more than lucky if it's the top lane because Live now feeling it. They've got the priority in the mid lane once again, and EDG struggling to defend, although they have the wave clear. And LGD going to back away after that. But remember, Baron on the menu, only one ward in the pit for EDG. And LGD, 100% security rate on the game if they can pick this one up.
And not a lot of targets they can actually kill. If you think about the anti-one-shot combo from LGD, it's tremendous. They have to Devour, they have the Zhonya's on the Kennen, and then you have to hit through the lifeline on Steric's Gage as well. So there are very few members you can actually just fully target out. And look at what PYL has bought for himself. Already has the stopwatch in hand as well. So there are no weaknesses on this team currently. EDG's hopes of just getting a pick are so damn slim.
Because the gold lead hasn't changed at all. So if you're looking at EDG's windows, it's still the same as it was 5 minutes ago for these two.
And I think LGD should be looking towards this Baron a little bit more aggressively. They've had great wards across the entirety of LGD's red side jungle. You can see EDG just don't contest most of their invades. So I think the next few steps, you're going to see Kennen now, the one with the teleport transfer towards bot side. As long as Lies can hold his own against Jinnu, it should be a very cut and dried case of just moving into the enemy jungle.
EDG trying to actually influence another lane. You're looking at Yuki in the top side as Enchanted Crystara hits Iboy. Look at Bako's. I'm not taking that for you, but I'll take that one. The bottom lane might just die together because of it as Iboy has to now finally pop the ultimate, but he flashes into the permafrost. And they'll survive, but the juggling of aggro, maybe, for EDG's bottom lane.
Ooh, but that's a big cooldown for Iboy. Both Flash and Ultimate gone, and that's plenty of time for LGD to start hacking on that Baron.
You can see Jinnu and JJ standing here willing to defend, but LGD's 4 can easily hit this away. JJ now remember there's two forms of CC, Time Catch and the Sejuani, but the Vanguard's Edge coming out might delay things as Hemoplague onto 4. This for Scout, the fighting moment as Jinnu goes in, get a two-man floor straight, goes golden. Scout still wants to follow up, they find their first pick at EDG. Their team fight comes alive. Their support comes even more so. They get 2 for the price of 1. It's a fire sale, and every part of LGD must go.
Okay, that was a bit of a questionable Devour since Yuki still had his flash. I don't think that was I would call that a mistake from LGD's side, but it's a massive window for EDG.
And now they just start at the Baron. Why not? EDG said we were behind no longer. 3K aiming in front of it, the steal a necessity. At 2, at 1, they get it, but it's the Vladimir. Why would you leave it to the 50-50? It doesn't matter because EDG have found the Sejuani, and the Pyro King falls backwards into death. EDG with the Baron, with the game, now back on relatively better terms.
LGD just bit off more than they could chew. In that engagement, they were missing a number of crucial ultimates, especially from Amy. His was not up. And when you saw Lies go into the fight, he actually didn't get crucial stuns onto Scout. Scout was able to dodge out of the entirety of the damage that was being dealt. Yuki did not get his ultimate off either, and this was great from Scout. Very, very good team fighting from Scout. He gets a full channel Tides of Blood behind the wind wall. They take down Kennen, who had a Zhonya's for some reason, but wasn't able to proc it. And then you have, it's basically kind of like, you know, running a truck into a pregnant woman, and you get both deaths right there.
Oh my God, no, Clement.
I'm sorry. That was very unfortunate from the bot lane.
Oh my God.
And they were just missing too many ultimates.
Sure. Oh, it's so dangerous casting with you. Look, I get the analogy. You're right. 2 for the price of 1. Sure.
Oh yeah, that's what they call it on the Chinese side.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's 1 body, 2 deaths.
Oh okay, yeah, but different meaning. Anyway, there's ult for ult here in the bottom side. Iboy has to use the Blade Caller, or rather the Feather Storm to get out. Excuse me. But Kramer with the Enchanted Crystallaro. There's an opportunity now as LGD find themselves Scout, but he's got a 2-man ulti. He's a level 16 Vladimir. I don't think they want this. He's in a choke. He's going to heal up fully. And this for Yuki could be bad to worse. Permafrost onto Scout, but is it going to expire? No. He gets the transfusion and LGD rotate. PYL and Kramer save that play.
Very good Abyssal Voyage. You could see this pinpoint spot PYL dropped into, cut the entire bot lane off from EDG, and despite Scout playing that so well, they still couldn't save him. Like, in all of these engages, just watch how Scout is actually playing these team fights. It is incredibly impressive. He's actually anticipating the wind wall and letting the Tides of Blood rip behind the wind wall. He's always very conscious of his positioning, but PYL really got the better of that one.
Yeah, that's why you're thankful to the bottom lane here if you're Yuki and Amy. Rest of EDG not willing to commit on down, but they've got 20 seconds before their mid lane, who doesn't have teleport, rejoins. Now that Baron buff was purely a defensive maneuver. I can't even say that word. Yuki moves to the top side though, and just because EDG got the Baron doesn't mean they're purely back in this game. They lose top side anyway.
Yeah, it's very easy to forget how much of a disadvantage they actually are. Still 6k down in the gold lead. Yasuo still does a lot of damage in these team fights. So if EDG want to play, they cannot let Scout be the first one who's engaged upon. They need him to have full damage throughout the entirety of the team fight. And that's actually how they won the first one. Like, yep. I have to say, even though Scout was caught out there, he's been playing these very well.
He did the Shy Vladimir. Remember Game 3 finals of Spring Clement against JDG, where the Shy was just face front into JDG in the Vladimir.
Yeah, one-shot imp.
Yeah. 4 3-man Hema plays
throughout the entirety of the team fight.
That's how it happened, and Scout showed that in our last fight.
I have to say, even though Scout was caught out there,
he's been playing
very well.
He did the Shy Vladimir. Remember Game 3 finals? Scout has been one of the core members of JDG, where the Shy has always been a big strength to JDG in the Vladimir. Now he's going to have to show it here in Game 1, because we mentioned they're still at a deficit. 3-man Dragon. There's big items here on LGD. Scout showed that in our last fight.
I have to say, even though Scout was caught out there, he's been playing this very well.
He did the Shy Vladimir. Remember Game 3 finals?
Basically forcing LGD to walk around them in these fights. So LGD, they're actually just taking the straight run. This is how they beat FPX, by the way.
They ran it down mid lane. You're going for the dragon. Get it or get back. It will eventually go down, but LGD say it's a free inhibitor. Or at least inhibitor turret. Good enough. Wow. You take that trade if you're LGD, double Cloud versus double Mountain now, but Baron's up in 145. On top of this play, they can also get vision recontrolled in front of Baron.
LGD have nothing to fear. Even though they lost the previous team fights, they are still in a dominating position when it comes to just the item leads on all of their players. So I actually want to see them try and get the engage off. Like, they don't need to fear EDG in these team fights. In fact, most of the time, if they're the ones starting the fight and they get Scout to blow an early pull, they should win it hands down very easily.
That's right, and it's pretty easy to do so. Remember the Tongue Lash, the Yasuo Q powered up, the Iron Tempest, Steel Tempest, whichever one it is. Easy ways to burn it. So at the moment, still for EDG, a lot of fears on the roster. They're playing very reserved here. And even around the mid lane, as they get spotted out, backs coming through, they're going to let LGD push up and look for that near impossible Baron.
And Baron coming up very soon, just 47 seconds, and you can see how LGD are already paying this out. The way they want to fight this is try to catch EDG as they're coming out to push their mid lane wave. And Jinnu is doing something quite interesting as well. He's actually not grouping with the team. No teleports on LGD actually available outside of Kramer's TP, so that's not going to be very viable.
The teleport up on Jinnu, so he's on his own in the side lane as mentioned, but I can still join these fights. Level 16, he threatens the turret while maybe EDG can get some vision for this or at least make a play towards the Baron.
Now we've seen this happen with Jinnu where he does over push on the bot side a little bit. Well, it does get away with that one. Safe and sound. Now, it does look like the way LGD are going to play this is they're looking for a bit of a stall now, at least until Lies gets his TP up.
Okay. Free item cannon, by the way. Lies going to hit on back to this red buff. He's looking for the 4th item here, which seems to be the Void Star for the cannon, but EDG. Ignore that, because they've started the Baron, and boy, with double Mountain, this goes down fast. They go in with the flash, in with the ulti, the quickness as well. The Enchanted Crystal away from Jinnu, he says. EDG is a 5-man stack, move away themselves. Scout going to get his transfusion proc here quickly, but Amy runs into him. EDG continuing on the fight, or rather getting engaged on Yuki. Comes in with last breath, but only onto JJ. That's the tank while Alboy finds the 2-man rope, but Lies into the back line. Gets 3 members as EDG turn onto the cannon. Getting the resets here is the Aurelion. Jinnu may have slowed down the fight. Lies into the back line. That's what you want to see. Scout moves swiftly. Jinnu there as well, but look at Boy, look at the flash, and look at the moves here from EDG. A messy, brutal fight but 2 core carries make it work.
Scout waited so long for that perfect moment to go in on the entire fight. LGD chased and chased. EDG let them do it, goaded them onto the ramp. They dodged out on most of the damage, and when all of the skills were finally expended, that's when they were finally ready to strike. They go back in, and they wipe out LGD's entire black line in one single go. That was very well played by them. And honestly, I felt a bit doubtful about LGD actually chasing up onto the ramp. They could have reset vision here. They could have taken the scuttle and just had a stronger position around the Baron, but they wanted to go then and now. Let's watch how EDG actually plays this out.
Look at First
yeah, the ultimate on JJ wasn't actually that useful. Amy goes down almost immediately. He can't tank anymore. And working their way up into a ramp like this is so difficult. The Scouts gets the triple Tides of Blood on everyone, all the soft targets. You know, Kramer doesn't even bother to flash after that. He knows he's a dead man.
God, that was such a brutal fight, though. Desperation from both teams seemed, and LGD have lost what advantage it seemed to have as well.
The nuke is online. You cannot stop Scout anymore, and I'm just so impressed by the amount of confidence and patience EDG has been playing with these team fights. Yep. They lost 2 members before they decided to turn in and knew that they could clean things up.
And I want to point out that you said you can't stop Scout, you're so right. Who's going to do it? The Ignite not available for Yuki. That's a big tool against the Vladimir healing. But let's not forget, you pick up the, what's that item called? The Mortal Reminder. What's the small item? I keep forgetting. Executioner's Calling. Where is it on the Ashe? Kramer has gone for the QSS, has no more room in inventory.
He's relying on the Morello Nomicon coming in from his top lane.
That's very true.
I think the way that LGD need to approach this team fights is that they cannot have Lies go in and be the initiator. It's too hard to actually find the kill when you're running up against into the Vanguard's edge, against iBoy who has his ultimate. It's much better to use the Kennen ult as purely just zoning for Scout. I think if you can stop Scout from unloading a single combo onto Kramer, then it's worth it. You don't need to play front to back the way Lies has been.
Then Yuki can start working his magic, but when is that going to disappear? Because EDG have picked up 2 turrets. This Baron buff is on the aggressive. Last one was negating the loss that was built up for EDG, but this late game Baron is doing absolute work. They're ready for the topside wave to crash in second time around, and EDG is starting to group up.
Yeah, and I think the way Yuki should do it is, look, going against JJ, probably not the best idea. With subjugation on Sejuani, it's going to take so damn long to kill him. But you can go on Jinu. He doesn't have the Guardian's Angel, so that would be a great target to try.
And you're speaking of targets, it's a wrong one for the Enchanted Crystal Arrows that's dodged away from EDG. And that cooldown is still very consequential.
Kramer this time around does have the Quicksilver Sash ready, so he should be able to survive a little bit longer with that MR resistance and also the GA up for Yasuo as well. LGD still hanging on to the gold lead ever so slightly.
Yeah, but it's nothing like it once was. We were talking 7, 8K against EDG, now down to a mere 1,000 at 35 minutes in the game. And when you're a team like EDG that has the Baron buff, has the push, and the big minion wave coming in, you've also got Mountain. You can siege very easily, but remember, if iBoy gets caught out with the last press, that could happen. They lock him back in place, and GA is ready to be popped, but the Windwall blocks it all. They return back in, but Scout is into the back line, heals up, hits 3, Jinu in with the Vanguard's edge. Scout and Jinu going together like best friends should with a 3-man full threat. Jinu does drop eventually. A disaster for EDG as Lies gets the flank, and Scout is left without his passive. He hits 1 transfusion, but doesn't get another, and LGD wipe Edward Gaming.
Oh, wow, and these are 40-second death timers. LGD should be able to hang on to game 1, and just realize the difference between this team fight and the previous one. This time around, Lies held on to his ultimate before, until after Scout already used all of his initiation abilities. Scout was forced to stand still, go into his Zhonya's before he got the majority of his damage down onto the back line, and with that separation, they could then clean up the backline from EDG themselves, and that led to a winning team fight.
They can just go for the end, of course. Death time is too long, as mentioned, Clement, and this was a turnaround from EDG that went so back and forth. A game that definitely needs to be broken down after what was a 38-minute slug.
And I love the way that LGD battled through that entire sequence of team fights. They finally figured out the right way to win them. Don't use Kennen as the engage. Hold on to him. He can control the entire area, multiple targets. Hold him on for scout. Let the other members engage. For Yuki, that was a very bold engage, but he knew he could do it because he had the GA advantage, and they were willing to commit to that team fight. EDG overstepped just a little bit, and that is enough of a window for LGD close.
Yeah, I wasn't even looking at lies in that fight, so I'd love